from TSN. This guy for sure would be on the Four Nations roster.
Oh yeah, this year, hell
there
yeah,
we go.
He's a Canadian boy.
Yeah.
seriously.
Off ice coordinator. Absolutely. I'd be invited in there. I'm
Party
Julie McCoy. I would be the Julie McCoy from the Love Boat. I would be set up all the parties and all of that fun stuff. It would be absolutely. I'd be on Four Nations Cup.
That's
Just
a
not
Moldy
playing.
reference. We're on YouTube.
When you bring up a Love Boat reference, just how many people know of the Love Boat anymore?
I'm 50 years old. Like Pinder wouldn't. Boomer would know who it is. And Boomer's what, 60? How old are you now? 60?
Yeah,
big
thanks
birthday.
for that, by the way.
Why do
problem.
Canadians suck at goaltending? Ryan wants to know.
Well, we've had this chat before.
The
But
hot comment.
what do you make of it? No mega studs in that.
It's a cycle right now. And you could argue, I mean, I've had this argument. 7 out of 10 last cup winners have been Canadian goaltenders, even though they've just been average or whatever.
Plugs.
They've gotten the job done. You go back to Holtby and, who was the guy?
Yeah.
Corey Crawford, Kemper, Matt Murray, Bennington, Aiden Hill. Like, you've got 7 out of 10 of the last cup winners. But you're right. Like there is, if I said you're Russian goaltending, I mean, there's a 3-pack there that's as good as anybody, right? So
Who are you snubbing? There's 4. Sorokin, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky.
Oh yeah, you know what? I snubbed Bob by accident, and I shouldn't.
Cup winner?
He might be the top of the list. You're right. Like there's just other countries are ahead. The U.S. has a 3 or 4-pack that you could throw at you. So go ahead, Rhett.
But I'm just because. But is it an issue? Like Ryan's,
I'm
it's
afraid
an
it's-
issue,
Ryan wants
and
answers.
I'm saying,
Okay, I'm going to give you a
don't-
crazy. You want a crazy answer? Is that you can make $5 million a year being a third-line left winger? Ask Blake Coleman, and nobody cares about Blake Coleman's play. But God forbid you make $5 million as a goaltender. Jack Campbell, you're a bum. You name it. There's all these people signing for $5 million. You're like, that guy's not worth $5 million, but a third-line left winger is. That
doesn't change country to country. Noodles. You're still making $5 million if you're Swedish or Finnish or Russian or American.
My point being is that it's not as sexy to be a goaltender nowadays because everyone the pressure is mounted to the point where it's like everyone's like, oh, replacement level goaltending, we can just do this, we can just do that. Like I would argue there's
Noodles. I was going to say, plus kids see Connor Bedard and Cale Makar.
Exactly.
Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
You want to be him, or do you want to be the guy trying to stop those guys?
I agree with all that. It's just not a Canada-specific issue. It doesn't separate. It's not different in the US.
It's not. I agree 100%. It's not. It's a world issue. I go to these goaltender seminars in the summer put on by the Goalie Guild, and there's 150 goalie coaches there from all over the world. Met with this guy, Thomas Magnusson. He's the head of the Swedish Federation. And for a cycle there, they had too many goalies because everybody wanted to be Lundqvist. But then what happened is you're seeing goaltenders now at ages 14 to 16 having surgery because everybody does these power pushes. So it's almost like having a pitch count. These kids at 6, 7, 8 years old, their bodies are being worn down because you're not supposed to be doing organically some of these pushes, and they're doing 1,000 a day. So I don't know. You're right. It's not a world problem. It's specific to Canada right now. There's a cycle, but you could argue that, I think there are some guys that, might be able to push through. I think the kid in Buffalo has a chance. I like him, Levi. I do. I like his skill set. I think it's just going to take time. I mean, when I first saw him, I thought he was a young Marc-Andre Fleury. Same kind of skill set, explosive, overactive in the net, but has really good feet, has a nice demeanor, seems like he has good size to him. But he's what, 21, 22?
Yeah, he just got sent to the A. Like, I'm just not really.
Yeah, no, but you could argue that Marc-Andre Fleury was this far away from being sent to the A early in his career because Pittsburgh was so bad and it almost ruined him. I don't know. You're 100% right. Like I don't have an actual answer why it's been a cycle in Canada, other than the fact that there's been some. If anything, The one thing I would point out, and this is kind of a shot at me and maybe my generation, is goaltending has, if you had the top, where the top here, and in the NHL in my generation and the generation before, the bottom guys were down here. Now the bottom guys have come to here. So everybody's here. So everyone, the gap has closed between the top and the bottom of the league, where everybody's good and then there's great. Where in my generation and the generation before, there was a real big separation between the bottom and the top. And I think everyone's become good goalies. And I don't know if good is enough. Like we're looking for great, and we just don't have great right now. We just have good.
Yeah.
Is everything grow together? And the point I'm getting at is the skill level of the player. I watched that CHL versus the national development team last night. Unbelievable. Those kids, the skill levels are off the charts.
Yeah.
Goaltending's getting better. Like, are the kids so much better? Like, you're a great goaltender, but you've got guys coming in and actually hitting this area. Yeah. That's what they're aiming for, and they're making the shot. Yeah. Is it all relative?
It is, in the sense now. The one thing where there was a patch where goaltenders were kind of better than shooters. Yes. And what I mean by that is, but what happened is goaltending was a niche specific. So you had all these I just talked about these goalie seminars, goalie coaches. They were coaching against the shooters. You know what's happened now? The shooters have coaches.
Yeah.
And the shooters are now picking apart the goalies, going, okay, if you're going to play the percentages, 87% of goaltenders will cover this part of the net. So now we're shooting at the 13%, and it's at the ear. It's at in between the 5 and 6 hole. Like, these are what's happening. And same type of thing. I went to a goalie seminar in Colorado, and they brought in Joe Pavelski's skills coach. He's from Vancouver. I want to say his name is Ron Johnson. And he talked about tipping pucks, but he also talked about quadrants and what he teaches his shooters now, as opposed to, if everything's blind, you get a puck in the slot, you got a half second to get it away. You're not picking your spot. What you're doing is shooting to quadrants and going, okay, I know this goaltender likes to do this. It's all pre-scouting, but it's also getting your shot away. So Pavelski, he would say, geez, we would study these goalies now. So now it's gone the other way, where the players are studying the goaltenders and going, here's a weakness. And it's not just your goalie coach. Like, Rhett, when I was a goalie coach in Calgary, and I would put up those pre-scouts of like, hey, this is a big goalie. We got to get him moving. We got to do, a lot of them were generic, but a lot of them were specific to who we were playing against that night. This guy liked to poke check. This guy was very active. He stopped pucks behind the net. Nowadays, if you're looking at a goaltender who's 6'4", so for example, if I'm doing a pre-scout quickly on Stuart Skinner in Edmonton, first thing I want to do is I would shoot glove, because I think he drops his glove when he goes down. I would also try and get him moving side to side, because I think his skating is just average side to side. But he's 6'4", so you got to shoot around him. You're not, you're not. If he's on his game and at the top of his crease, you're not going through him. You got to find holes or get him moving. So that's the first thing. And that now you start to open him up. Geez, is his seal on the post on the blocker side? Is it clean? We've seen a few goals sneak in there in the playoffs. Zadorov put one short side in Vancouver because he was late on the play and a little bit lazy. Like, those are the things now you start to pick apart. So I would argue goalies got ahead there, where the save percentage was 930, 928, 926. Now it's down in the 905 range, 900, and because shooters are a lot better. And I come back to my argument, I think we had a couple weeks ago, where it's never been easier to get to middle ice, because you don't have the Rhett Warner's can opening and breaking your arm and chopping, and like, it's middle ice is, if you want to have a little bit of courage to get there, go, because nobody's going to hurt you. There's maybe 2 guys in the league that have open ice hitting now in the middle of the ice. Outside of that, so to me, it's a combination of higher quality chances, better shooters, and you're seeing goalies get exposed.
Nobody has answers.
Well, I mean, I think I make valid points, correct?
They're all
valid
valid points. None of them are specific to Canada, though. That's what's unique about the situation.
It just, the only thing I joke, my son is 7 and he wants to be a goalie. Hopefully he grows out of it by the time he's 10. I don't know.
Put him in
We'll
the
see.
wrong-handed gear. That's a good move.
Yeah, I might do that. I'll go.
So quite honestly, though, how much of this is part of it? Parents they don't love their kids wanting to be goalie. There's never really any encouraging to be goalie. It's expensive in the gear and all this. All you hear is parents that don't want.
I think you hear that in the U.S. and
Their
Finland
kids to
and
be
Russia
goalie.
too, though. I don't think that's unique.
I don't know. It may be. Here's the other thing that I could defend on that is in Canada, it's such a hot button topic. Like I swear, I did a seminar in front of 600 hockey parents last year, just kind of like a round table, 45 minutes. And somebody asked me point blank, do you want your son to be a goalie? And I gave the answer exactly. I was like, I don't know. I'd like him to, if he was going to ever make the NHL and wasn't going to be Connor Bedard or Connor McDavid, I'd like him to be Blake Coleman. I'd like him to make $5 million and be a hell of a player and a good guy.
There's a lot more jobs.
There's not a lot of pressure in that situation. There is personally. Blake puts pressure on himself and he's a winner and all of that. But my point is I'm not on this podcast every week going, geez, you know what? Blake Coleman makes $4.9 million. I'm really concerned about the money we're spending on him. We just don't. It gets lost in the shuffle where if you spent $5 million, which is an average now, but you spent $5 million on a goalie, people are like, God, that's an overpay. I don't know.
Joey
like,
DeCourt
I'm not sure.
We all raised our eyebrows. He's been great this year.
Right. Exactly. Like Joey DeCourt he's a really good goaltender, but you're all like, why the hell $5 million for that guy? When we don't blink an eye for, I don't know, name a 60-point guy who makes $5 million. I'm doing it tonight. Drake Batherson.
All of them.
Nice player. They
Don't they all
make
think about that? Yeah. Maybe what we need to do is we need to get back to the basics. I found this Noodles. I don't know if this is your instruction video.
Seminar, right?
But we gotta teach kids how to play it correctly. Maybe it'll come around.
I'd like
look
to
at
go
that,
over the kick
Jim.
snaps
Is
right
that
now
Jim
with you,
Park?
starting with the catcher side. John's
I
going to
have
go
this
down with the
video.
right knee and turn his body. We've got the catcher out in front,
Yep.
and to start off with slowly, he's going to go through with the skate and the glove and extend it right up on the top corner. Notice he's coming right back past the head here. It's extremely important that he keeps the motion going up past the crossbar. You're not going to catch a lot of these shots. A lot of them you're just trying to get a piece of so they go over the top. Because a lot of times this shot comes from right in tight and you're just trying to take away the net. If you catch it, that's a bonus. Let's take a look at it again. Right through, the pad comes through, and the extension with the glove right up. A lot of times when you use this, you don't know if the shot is going high or not. You're trying to take away the net on this side because perhaps the puck is right out in front here. So you're bringing everything through. The pad, the stick, and the glove is extending through the top corner. And regardless of where he shoots, you've got a good chance to get a piece of it then. Now let's flip it over and show you the one on the blocker side.
We'll move on because it's just so good.
Down on the knee.
Honestly,
We're going to start with
it's
the blocker
greatest.
down here in front
big in there,
because a
isn't
lot of times that's where you want it, particularly when you come away from the left post going across the net. Same thing, the extension and the explosion is extremely important. The blocker follows right up past the bar. You have to keep that weight coming right through.
It's the best.
You know what,
Honestly,
guys?
There you go.
I
I
have
take
that
it all
video.
back. I now know why Canada can't produce goalies. This guy's still doing it, isn't he?
I have that video. So that's Jim Park. My mom got me that video for Christmas years ago. The best part, if you can find it, he's doing angle poke checks and he's mic'd and he's like, "Ooh," like it is the greatest. Jim Park was like, I wouldn't say he's an idol, but I watched that video because he's talking about angle poke checks and he's a lefty goalie and he's throwing himself out there. It's unbelievable, that video. And what happened is it's starting to trend on Instagram. Like you get down a rabbit hole, it'd be like old school goaltending. You'll see it, and it's like Jim Park. You got to do a skate save, you got to do a glove save. It's unbelievable.
Would have been cutting edge at the time.
Yes, it was cutting edge back then.
I love the heel of the skate dug into the and toes to the sky and swing it around.
Back scratcher there.
I'm telling you, I used to get in trouble, and this is the God's honest truth. If I didn't stay on my feet, then like if you went down, you're down all the time. That's lazy. You got to stay on your feet. My goalie coach, Bob Froese, at the NHL level, I went down one time on a wraparound. He's like, you got to go side to side and stay on your feet. That's just lazy goaltending. I'm like, all right. I back then, that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And then what happened is Patrick Waugh and Tony Esposito and some of these goaltenders that came in and started to realize that the butterfly covering the net, get there a lot faster. They changed the game, man. There's been pockets throughout the years of guys that have changed the game. And I was lucky. I played with Ron Hextall. He changed the game from a puck handling standpoint. Like there's, Dominic Hasek, Rhett, you played with him. People are like, what the hell is this guy doing? Dropping his stick and grabbing the puck with his blocker on that blocker side. Like it was ingenious back then. I think he invented the paddle down and, for in tight. Like, and again, people are like, this guy, he's terrible. He's so lucky. He's so lucky. He was so ahead of his time. I still think he's the greatest goaltender who ever played the game, ever. But he was so far ahead. But Jim Park, that guy was my guy back in the day.
Is he your GOAT? Like you got to see him every day.
I think Dom's best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as far as we're all in this content creation world, Noodles, you need to recreate that video with your kids. and you would know how to do it. Hey, here we are. This is my son. I played in the National Hockey League. I played with Roberto Luongo and Grant Fuhrer. Just some tips. Just here's what we're going to, and then go through that whole same thing again.
Oh my God. So when I watched that, do you guys remember SCTV? I feel like that's Billy Stamavolichki. That's John Candy back there.
It does feel like a skit, I'll tell you.
It feels like it's a skit. It's like, it's a cross between Slapshot and SCTV, and that's what it is. It's the best. You know what? If I ever get a chance, I would do that. Actually, like recreate like back in the day,
and then stop him and give him shit. No. You got to really get it back. You got to get that back there.
You don't want to be arm back.
Not gonna catch it, but you just got to get it up.
You just got to get a piece of it, and if it's behind your head, you do this like. Oh my God, it's the greatest. So maybe Canadian goaltending needs to get back to the grassroots.
That's right.
Park.
Yep. And the kids would have more fun. If they're flailing around a net like that, maybe they'd be saving their
You know what? The other thing too, guys, I think, and again, we're just coming up with excuses. This is just me spitballing. Goaltending, kids used to love the gear. They used to love the mask. They used to love things. I just don't know if it's as sexy anymore to kids. I don't know. Like what enchanted me about being a goaltender was like putting the pads on. Like, oh my God, look at these pads. Like, and I started in an age where it was deer hair. Like that, they were like old leather pads that were stuffed with deer hair.
50 kilograms in a season, all the water.
Yeah, like but that's like being a goaltender was kind of like sexy. It was kind of like the cool thing. I don't know if somehow either the parents or even the kids they just don't find it as sexy. It's a tough position. Like I told my son, I said it's a very tough position. And I went out on the ice with him this summer and he got a shot on the knee. Oof. And he wanted to skate off the ice. Like he said, I'm done. And I said, hey man, you want to be a goaltender? I said, stop crying. He was crying. Of course, it was a shot on the knee. And then I said, he goes, I want to leave. And I said, there's 10 minutes left in practice. Like, you can't quit on your team. You got to, like, it was a good lesson for him. I said, you want, like, goaltending hurts sometimes. Like, so I don't know. I would much rather, I don't know, being a parent of a child, going into body checking. Rhett, was it like when your boys first started body checking? Was that a little bit nervous? Like guys getting hit?
My oldest was the bigger kid.
He was the biggest on the ice.
Yeah, so he was a mutant.
I'm ready, Dad.
He's a mutant. So
yeah, he put his cigarettes down to go out for his shift.
Paul Bunyan with his axe didn't mind too bad.
Yeah. See, that just like anxiety as a parent It is different. I don't know if I told you this story. I was calling a game last week, and I'm in between the benches and literally calling, and I could see my wife FaceTiming, and my son had a game. And I'm like, why is she FaceTime? She knows I'm calling the game. So I press mute, I swipe open, and her face is sitting there, and she goes, he just got scored on from center ice. And I go,
yes.
What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
And she's like, she goes, I don't know what to do. She's like my wife was so rattled that and I go, welcome to being a goalie's parent. Like, I don't know what she goes, my heart is broken. And I'm like, is he all right? She goes, yeah, he doesn't care. He made a few saves after that. But she was so worked up about it. She's like, she goes, it was ugly. It was ugly. And I go, yeah, he got scored up from center. It's ugly, but she wouldn't stop talking about it for 3 days. He didn't care. So
Marc-Andre Fleury did it last week.
That's
I mean,
right.
it happens.
Exactly. Like I guess maybe it's a special breed that you've gotta, and the weird ones or the different ones stick with it. The other ones move out of it. I don't know.
I totally with you. Yeah, like I had my kid at hockey camp in August, and my wife is like, we can't do this for a full year. I'm like, this is
It's
a hockey camp.
Yeah.
He got torched for like 13, and then the age group older, like, we don't have any goalies. Can he play again? He's like, oh, please, Dad, can. I'm like, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he's a
they
goalie.
don't care.
And half the games, the parents are looking at you after your kid shits the bed. It would be nice to get some. Maybe some
That's
saves.
the
And then
hardest
the other
part.
half, you're looking down at them. It's like maybe mixing a goal for my kid might be a novel idea.
I sit as a parent. I don't interact. I just sit in the corner, and I do it like not to be antisocial and be rude to people. I just remember my parents. My parents were just pretty quiet. My dad just sat in the corner in this spot in the rink all the time and watched. And he would always say to me, don't get too high, don't get too low. Just keep everything like this. That was the only he gave me lots of advice, but that was the advice I took the most. And my mom never sat with all the other parents and that. The two of them just sat in the corner. So my wife's like always in the mix and chatting it up, and it's social hour. And I sit in the corner with the headphones on, and I watch, and I don't need interaction. But if he allows a goal, you can see them all like looking at me like it's my fault, like somehow like he didn't make that save. So it is a bit weird and a little bit stressful, but you know what? He's 7. Let him be 7. That's the way I look at it.
Where are you in California? Where are you?
Yeah, San Jose. I'm doing Ottawa, San Jose tonight. Flew out last night, and
Work's been good too.
You know what, Celebrini, I'm going to lay eyes on him for the first time. Kind of looking forward to that. They're coming off a big win against LA, the 7-2 win, and Celebrini had 2 goals and an assist. He might challenge our buddy Dustin Wolf here if they keep going. Like he's a hell of a player. It's interesting. I don't know how you guys feel about that or what you heard about him. So I talked to a scout the other day, and this was really kind of it was a bold statement. He's like, this guy might be better than Bedard. And I was like, what? And he's like, no. And he goes, this kid's a player. He goes, he's more well-rounded right now. And obviously they're 18 and 19. So there's lots of a pathway to go. But he goes, this kid is special. He goes, don't sleep on him. He goes, don't have the Eastern bias, because they start the puck drops at 10:47 Eastern every night when they play. So you don't get to see them live. San Jose's not a sexy market right now. They're in a rebuild, retool, so not a lot of people are watching this kid. He goes, I'm telling you, this kid is really special. I said, all right, I'll take your word for it, because this was a Western scout who had been, really, watching San Jose, LA, Anaheim, and all of that. So it's interesting. I'll lay eyes on him. From a statistical standpoint. I think it's Sport Logic that had him number 1 on the team in loose puck battles, which I thought was pretty cool.
18.
Yeah.
Jeez.
18. Yeah. So,
Pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. San Jose is a better team than they were last year, but Ottawa, they need wins, man. So they've got the 10 of the next 12 are against teams like them that aren't in the playoffs and that are battling. So we'll see.
So we saw them on Monday, the prime game. do you believe they can turn this around? Because I like their performance, and I thought the Flames just handed them a free pass with 9 penalties, like that.
Yeah.
And then secondly, Calgary and Detroit tonight. Why are the Wings feel like they're in neutral here under Stevie Y? I feel like they have not made much ground up since he arrived.
Okay, so
Sens
I'll put a bow on the Sens. I think they're better than they showed. They played very desperate the other night.
Yeah.
And you could tell. I thought the Flames were sleepwalking early on, and Dustin Wolf made 2 or 3 like massive saves just to keep that game scoreless, and then Huberdeau scores the power play goal. But the Flames are allowed to throw up a bit of a dud. Here's the crazy thing is the Forsberg save on Coronado at 3-2. If he doesn't, he backhands it and he kind of whiffs it, and Forsberg kind of grabs it in the crease there. Like, to me, Ottawa's a fragile team. They were almost trying to give it back to Calgary, and Calgary just didn't seize it. But that Coronado save, like that one, if he scores there, Calgary wins that game.
I agree.
Like, I thought,
or if that period was a little bit longer, I think the
Yeah.
Flames do get to him.
And they've been great in the third. They've erased 2 goal deficits a ton this year. That was absolutely playing right into the Flames' hands.
But I think Ottawa's a better team than they're showing. I was watching them. They had a pocket there where they beat Boston and Toronto. They were 8-7-1. They were looking good. They were getting saves. And then since then they went 0-4-1 and couldn't have that consistency in there. They played well against the Flames. Got an opportunity here to play San Jose tonight. They play LA Saturday. They play Anaheim Sunday. These are some teams that you're battling kind of in that middle of the road. These are, I wouldn't say winnable games because they have to show up, but they have to play. If they want to stay in the standings and even sniff playoffs this year, these are must wins. And
That's
then
what Buffalo did. They went out and won those 3
swept those California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, Buffalo's right in the mix, and people are talking about, geez, maybe the plan's working in Buffalo. Maybe the plan's working. In Ottawa, all they're talking about is like, who has to go? What's going on here? And then so I'm going to tie that right into Detroit. I think when I look at it, like, Ottawa has a framework of a good team there. So what I mean is, if Allmark can get his act together, you got a goaltender. I think Sanderson's a star. I just think he needs growth. Like, he's coming. I think Stützle's a star. I think he's a really, really good player. Like, is he a winger? Is he a centerman? But he's on pace for, I think, 97 points. Let's say he maybe he gets it, maybe he doesn't. Brady Tkachuk is a unicorn. There's not many players like him in the league that will fight, that will hit, but also score 30 to 40 goals. So they've got some players there. In Detroit, what's the spine look like? Like, who's the goalie? You mentioned Casa. Like, okay, maybe if he, okay. And then Seider, what is Seider? Is he a 1? Is he a 2? Is he a, I'm not sure, because I don't see the offensive flair from Seider. Like, I don't see him like dominating the puck. And then up front, you've got, Raymond DeBrincat. Like, DeBrincat's 27 now, so it's not like this isn't this young team that's like you're going, okay.
Same with Dylan Larkin. Good player, but not a young player anymore.
So I can't steal these terms, but I work with Brian Hayes. He always goes, who's the stars on the team? Like, who's the, not everybody has a McDavid or a Matthews, but who's going to go against those guys nightly? Like, when you are going, if you're out in the East, it's Pasternak. If you go in Boston, like, every team, it's Barkov, it's Tkachuk. Like, in Tampa, it's Kucherov, it's Hedman, it's Vasilevsky. So when you look at the spine, what is Detroit's? What is the skeleton of that team that you built around? I think they're good players. I don't know if they're great. I guess that's my biggest concern with Detroit is they've got. I don't know if they've hit on all their draft and developing type of thing, but I don't know if they've got a special player there. Like, do they have a special player, or do they just have a couple, some really good players?
I agree. I think you're right.
And they've got half their roster eaten up by guys who are 30 or more. we kind of went through the list this morning, and it's a lot of guys who are
Yeah,
32 and 33. Yeah, it's
he tried to sign. Like I could understand he was trying to sign the cops. The what's his name? The defenseman, left-handed shot, Sherrod.
Sherrod,
Yeah, like
Petrie,
guys like that. Like so, you tried to round your team out with veterans and help these young kids get to the next level. But who's stopping pucks? It was Billy Husso. I don't know, is Billy on the roster or they send him
He
down?
just got called up, or he's
Yeah.
in to back up only because Lyon tweaked something at skate today.
Right. So
Here's the
you got,
number 3.
right. So you got, you went for Husso. That didn't work out. So you got Cam Talbot on a 2-year deal value. But he's 37, right? So they just I think Stevie Y had some good faith there, but now you're going, okay, what does this team look like 2 years from now? Because like we're talking about the team I'm doing against tonight, Celebrini. If he's a special player, I want to see what he's going to be like 2 years from now, and then build around him. Who are they building around in Detroit? It's just a bunch of good players,
Well, we appreciate it. Where does he need to go? San Jose? What's the thing you do with the tacos or something?
Oh yeah, the Uka Puka.
Johnny Rockets, wasn't it? And now it's closed. I was so rattled.
Oh, behind the hotel there, it's
Isn't there
closed.
some Mexican joint. You had the
Well, they closed that hotel too. I'm at a different hotel.
Talaki Paki.
What is it called?
Owen Nolan. It was a Mexican place. Amazing slushy beer drink. Wonderful. Reggie drank a whole bunch of them, got pissed.
I don't need to be Harry Dunn on the broadcast tonight either. just shaving because I come out of the Mexican restaurant. I'm not
Only because
interested
you're in
in
San
that.
Jose. I didn't know him well. I'd met him. Joe Thornton. They had that thing for him the other night. Some of the stories, unbelievable. Do you know him? You got any personal interactions?
You know what? We have, as we all do, a friend of a friend who's close, and there's not a bad word said about this guy.
Yeah.
Never. Like he might be actually like when you talk about somebody, they're like, that guy it was the epitome of a great teammate, great hockey player, great, just everything. Great person. Just want to be around him. Unique guy, the beard and no tarp and all that. That was a bit weird for me. It was like he's like an old hippie. But you know what? I think he's awesome. And you're right. Like I've got a lot of mutual friends that just rave about him, say he's just the best person. And I can see it.
Yeah, wasn't it Dylan we had on?
Brendan, yeah.
He played in San Jose, and he was telling a story about how he had pissed the puck away and gave up the game-winning goal. He's like, oh my God, he feels terrible. He's like, this is awful. Gets in, get on the bus, they get on the plane. He's just, this is the worst. He's walking towards the back of the plane, and Joe's in there already, shirt off, cards are ready to go. What the fuck are you worried about? Just sit down, play some cards. We play again in 2 nights. We got nothing but games.
82 of these, boys. Don't worry.
And he's like, oh man, he just flipped his whole mood, and it just played better the whole season almost from that point on.
But that's what you need. Like guys like that just understood, and that was probably what he needed at that time. And they're just, and it's not a big speech or anything. It's like, hey, don't even think twice about it. Let's play cards. Like having that type of demeanor around would help. I wish I had that. I just never had that when I played. I was too.
Thank God, Boston.
Well, yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Oh my God. And Seguin.
Yeah.
And those 3 draft picks in a row.
Noodles,
they're actually good.
You were that guy. That's the thing.
Glue guy. You
were the guy that made guys around you feel good.
I was a glue guy. Yeah, I was. You know what? If I was a guy who was so good at everything that came with hockey. the playing part, not so much. But everything that came with hockey, man, I was good at it. Like really good. That's if there was a Hockey Hall of Fame for everything outside of playing, I might have made it.
First ballot. Never mind made it. First ballot.
You're on the committee.
You're named after you, the building.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I guess just 2 quick things. I did take a look. Love Boat ended in 1984.
Jeez.
Like ended its 10-year run in 84. And we thought we'd play you out with, of course, the a little Love Boat theme, because who doesn't?
Love
exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you and love. Life's sweetest reward. Let it flow. It floats back to you.
Next week, Noodles.
Next week, we're going to talk about Fantasy Island.
It's
Got it.
different than Robida Island. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. I gotta
Appreciate you, pal.
Yeah.
There he is, Jamie McLennan. You just never, you never know where it's
No, didn't.
Love
Goalie-
boat and a
goalie drills.
goalie
and-
seminar.
Yeah, who knew?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.